Well, hello, Leatrice. I am so excited to have you on the show with us today.
Well, I'm excited to be with you.
Well, welcome. Well, to get started, tell me about your journey into color.
Well, if we started in my childhood, where it usually begins, I think it was my aunt and my mother who both discovered that I had talent in that area. I loved to pick out colors, choose colors for my rooms, my clothing, and it was obvious to them that I had an eye for color. And even as a child, they would ask my advice on decorating the home or clothing that they were buying. And so when, a child has reinforcement like that, they know that's a skill that they can depend on and that they're going to get good feedback from adults when they use it. So I think a lot of it starts there, at least for me it did. And then, of course, when I went into my career, I started out first utilizing my background in fashion primarily, in pursuing a career in the fashion community, and then moving on from that into other areas of color. I also taught color, which was an important factor in what I did. I taught a program for the Los Angeles City Schools for women going back to work who needed confidence building in what to choose for their outfits when they went on job interviews, that sort of thing. So I come at color from a lot of different standpoints, not the least of which is the psychology of color, which I did go back to school for and earn certification from UCLA in counseling for adults. And I was allowed to do color as my practicum in that master's program. So I had the early beginnings. Then as I moved on, I honed my skills by taking as many courses as I could on color. And of course, when I was in school, there weren't a lot of courses you could take. And that's what eventually inspired me to do a program of my own, both online and in person, in both a master design program and also an image training program, because I feel that continuing education in color is really super important. We never, ever learn enough about color.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's an evolving subject. So, the moment we look at any subject and say, well, I went to school, I got my degree, I know everything there is to know, we're in trouble, because there's always something new to learn. And that's what I focus on in my classes. So we have, dependable assets to use in color, but we need to learn more about the other aspects of color, not the least of which is the emotional aspect of color.
Yes, there's so much to color, and it's fascinating. I've worked with color for about 14 years, and I've always been drawn to color. I've always been attracted to it. And it's like the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. There's always something new to learn about color. It's just, it's fascinating. Now, you wrote a book called Communicating with Color. Tell us why color makes a difference through communication.
Well, whether we're aware of it or not, color does speak a language. And when I say we have conducted many studies over the years, color studies in color preference and how people respond to color. So we do have a body of information about how, if you put a Pantone chip out of a certain color, how people will respond to it. And over the years, we keep evaluating that response to see, has it changed? Is it any different than it used to be? Or has it remained the same over the eons, the relationship between color and what people think of the color, how it affects them. So as far as communicating with color, yes, you can communicate with it in a way that sometimes isn't always obvious. I work with clients all the time that have different products that they sell. And you have to think about how that product is going to attract attention in that 0.03 seconds that your eye lights on it as you go down a supermarket aisle. And does that color give the message of what is inside that package? What is it that you want to get over to the people you want to sell that soap to? So there are no real general rules that I can give you, because everything has to be thought of in terms of context. What is that soap being used for? Is it a laundry soap? Is it a soap that you're going to use in the bathtub? Does it need to have a good scent? All of those things have to be taken into consideration in choosing the color that goes on the packaging that eventually goes on the supermarket shelf or on a website.
Sure. Now, when it comes to clothing, what are some colors that you think that women might need to, well, how can I phrase this? That women should be aware of, because it's sending a message that they may or may not realize.
Well, I think the most important message is that you choose colors that flatter you and become you. Because if you do, then you get positive feedback when people view you. Oh, that pink is wonderful on you. Or, oh, you should wear lavender all the time. It looks, it brings out the color in your eyes. Mm-hmm. Everybody has gotten warm fuzzies over the years, and we attach good feelings to those particular colors. Now, what I did was to develop a program. It is based on what we call the color clock. Mm-hmm. And there are colors that are divided into 3 palettes plus a palette called crossovers, which will work in every palette and with every palette. It's a little different than the seasonal concept that many people are familiar with. Mm-hmm. Because I do bring in the psychological aspect of it, and I also bring in the fact that yes, there are colors that are universally acceptable. Mm-hmm. I would never say to anyone, forget black, don't use black. If a woman is, she's in business, she travels a lot, or she'd like to look a little slimmer than she looks. I mean, there are many reasons to choose black. Mm-hmm. What I would say is that we don't wear black head to toe without some relief of some other color. Sure. And that's the trick. What do you combine it with? What right. makes it look appropriate for you and for the occasion?
So well, I talk a lot about black. Yeah. But really what it comes down to is for years, women have told me that they wear it because they don't know what else to wear.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel that it shouldn't be a fallback position. I don't think any color should be a fallback. Although I have to say, in traveling a great deal, for me, it has been a fallback. I have to take that back because I know if I've got the black components, I never have to worry about what if I spill something on it. It's more easily hidden. I mean, there is that practical aspect of it as well. But at the same time, I would look at the person and say, with your blue eyes and blonde hair, why don't we experiment with these colors against the black? You want that basic pair of black tights and black boots, and maybe the black pants or black skirt, that's your standby. But what can we do to make it look fresh and look appealing around your face? What is going to be reflected into your face? And even if you choose to wear the black top, something that has a little sparkle, something that has a metallic influence, a scarf of some kind, anything that breaks up the blackness and adds a color that is flattering in what I call your particular color time.
Mm-hmm. Yes. No, yeah, I completely agree. And that's really what I teach is, helping my clients wear colors that flatter them. That's what it's all about, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly. Colors that make you feel good. And if you're wearing black and it doesn't make you feel good, that should be an indication that it's not the right color for you.
Or you need something to do to it in order.
Yes. Or if you put it on and you're like, yes, I love this, that's an indication that is a color for you.
Right. And the point about black is, as they said, black head to toe is too subtle. So what we want to do is add something around the face. It's going to reflect in the face. And, again, accessories are wonderful for that purpose.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, what are some ways that we can use color to make us look more alive?
Well, one of my books is called More Alive with Color. And I believe in the use of color for that purpose, to stimulate us, to give us an uplift in spirit. And certainly at this time of in our lives, we know how important that is. You know, we've gone through some very difficult times, and to be able to wear something that helps you express more joyfulness, again, lifts your spirits and the spirits of those around you. Now, I'm not suggesting that it always has to be a bright color. I think what people sometimes confuse when I talk about color, they think I'm discussing only bright, vibrant color, and that's not true. I mean, you can lift the spirits by wearing a beautiful shade of a pinky peach tone. It's not bright, but it is such a soft, approachable, tactile color that you want to reach out and touch it. And again, that's something that will make you feel happier, will make you feel more uplifted when you wear it. So getting back to your point, when you wear colors that make you feel good, that it instantly makes itself apparent to other people, and they react to you in that way. So it's sort of like a round robin. You give it out because of the color you wear. The receiver receives it and then gives it back to you in the way of a compliment or a good feeling that's attached to that particular color on you.
I love that, because color is energy, right? And it can create energy when we wear it. And so, yes, I love that you said it's almost like we put it back out there and that's what's reflected.
Right. And when we talk about energy, remember there's different kinds of energy. There's sort of energy that is, if we want to use energy, maybe that's not the right word, but sometimes there's a quiet energy that's needed. That if there's a particular shade of blue-green, let's say, doesn't need to be a turquoise shade, although turquoise obviously is an energetic shade. But if you want to get across the mood of something that's a little lighter and softer, more serene, it's a different kind of energy. It's a quiet energy. So again, we don't want to confuse the usage of the word energy with just very high intensity, bright colors. There are different kinds of energy we put forth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I think that segues nicely into one of the hottest trends this season, which is dopamine dressing.
Yes.
Yes. Dressing for happiness. What's your take on dopamine dressing?
Well, I think it works in some cases. I think, again, if the mood leads you to that or the occasion you're going to, certainly it does do that. It helps to lift the spirits. But at the same time, there are the days when you need that quiet assurance. And it's not necessarily with the very vibrant or bright colors. It's with the quieter colors. So, and again, for those people who would fall into the category in my concept, the color time that I'm referring to within the color clock, this would be, we have the sunrise, and at the opposite extreme, we have sunset. And in the middle, we have sunlight. So that when the sun is shining down on something, it removes some of the intensity of the color. So you get a softened variation, but you still have opportunities for energy within that palette. But you know that some of those softer blues, pinks, blue-greens, lavenders are really going to be your best colors. But at the same time, within the crossover colors that I talk about, there is a true red, because there is an opportunity. It would be at a party during holiday time, or an occasion when you want to try a new lipstick, that's a nail polish that's a redder tone. This is the crossover color that would work for any place within the sunrise, the sunlight, or the sunset spectrum. So that's where I feel we offer something that's a little different than perhaps other concepts offer, that there are about 18 colors that will work across any of the color time palettes. And that's something important to know, because a lot of your trends often come from those 18 colors.
Yes. Let's talk about red for a minute. I actually did a live video recently talking about red because, it's Christmas season or holiday season, and so many people are gravitating towards red. You look beautiful in your red, by the way. But I think there's so much confusion around, well, all colors really, but I think this time of year, there's so much confusion around red. And you mentioned a true red. And I guess I want to have a conversation about, is there such a thing as a true red or a true blue or a true green? Or is there a blue red or a yellow red? Or because I think that some people tell me I can wear a true red, and some people tell me I can't wear a true red. I need a more yellow-based red. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, a true red or a true any color means that you're getting a balance of warmth and coolness within the color, which adds to its versatility. It's an equal mixture of both of those, and that's what makes it a true color. Within your true red family, and the true red is the color that I refer to as the crossover. Again, that's the color if you were going to buy that amazing sequin dress for a Christmas party. True red would be a wonderful color to go for because you could wear it with any of your other accessories. You know that would work. Now, having said that, there is also a warm red and there's a cool red. The warm reds are generally for those people who I would refer to as within the sunset palette, or the lighter sunlight palettes, whereas the cooler reds usually look better with the sunrise. So this would be people with the extreme of very, very, whether it be alabaster skin or very, white skin, blue eyes, dark hair, or someone in the darker races who had blue-black in their skin complexion, in their complexion color. But the basis would be the coolness that is present. And so that would be their very best red. So what I'm saying here is that you have the option of choosing a blue or a cool undertone or a warm undertone, or the true red, which includes a little bit of both. So you have an option of going, if you're going to choose two reds, let's say, for whatever reason, you bought that bright red last year that was a true red. This year you want to do something perhaps it's a little cooler as an undertone that blends with your skin, then you would go with one of the two that I just mentioned, warmer red or cooler red. And by the way, of course, we have fan guides that help people differentiate the colors and see them. But if you were a shopper and you weren't sure, is this a cool red or is it a warm red? That often confuses people. They just walk around and see the red and which one is it? If you were in a department store or any boutique and you pick up a piece of red, whether it be a top, a scarf, whatever it is, pair of shoes, and you take it to another round that has another shade of red on it, you put the two reds together, instantly the undertone is going to pop out at you. It makes it so much easier to decipher cool versus warm. If you put them on, you go into the dressing room and you put them both on and you say, wow, I like these equally as much. I love both the colors. Then you have the option of choosing, what is most becoming to your skin undertone. Or you might say, well, I really love this color and it is on sale and it does look good on me. It's warm and I've been told I have cooler tones. I am one of those people that believes that if you find something that is not necessarily in your color time, but you have a proclivity or somebody gives you a gift and you can't say, I'm never going to use it. Your mother-in-law has knit a sweater for you. So you accessorize it with those things that are becoming to the undertones in that particular garment. And of course, hopefully, if you could find a scarf to wear with it that has a little bit of warmth and coolness in it, that creates a nice balance. It has some red in it, but it kind of deceives the eye as to which red it is. Is it cooler or is it warm? So we know there are practical times in life when we make choices, not necessarily because they're our choice, but somebody else made the choice for us and we have to use it. How do we go about doing it? So there are all kinds of little tips and tricks that you can learn about how to use color properly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've been studying those for years, and that's really what we teach our clients at Style Finder, and what I've been teaching as a style coach, but it's so fascinating. And one of my favorite tricks is to encourage my clients to wear their hair color as what I call their new black.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, we call that signature colors. By taking your own coloring and repeating it. What you're doing is creating your own signature. Absolutely. So you're not doing what necessarily the rest of the world does, but you're doing something that is very becoming to you. And it sounds like you're right on target with that.
Yes, absolutely. And, I like to look at, I think for years, my own personal, journey with color was feeling like, well, I should wear this color, but these are the colors I'm drawn to. And I think I really kind of got interested in color when I was a teen. I've always sewn when I was a teen, and I would read all these top 10 lists of all, all things all women must have in their closets. And 99% of them would be black. And at the time, I was not wearing any black. And so all of a sudden, I instantly felt like, oh, now I should go out and buy black. But I didn't really want to, and it didn't feel right. And I think that a lot of women struggle with that. They struggle with this, like, well, I feel like I should. What would be your best advice if somebody is trying to get out of the, like I like to call it, the little black box, and venture into trying something different? What would be your best advice?
Well, I think you have to have an open attitude, first of all, and not always go to the default position. And I think that I think the jacket that you have on today is a perfect example.
It picks up the highlights.
Yes, the highlights in your hair. And I think, and every woman can relate to hair color. Everybody wants to have an attractive head of hair. And hairstylists talk about it all the time. Well, let's put some highlights in your hair. Let's add a little undertone of whatever. Yes. In hairstyling, people understand that. And also in makeup. So if you could take that same idea, that same concept, and bring it into your wardrobe as well. Yes, I do have those highlights. It cost me a lot of money to have those highlights put in my hair. Why not repeat that in the outfit that I have on? Whether it be a paisley print or a design of some kind, or just a scarf that has a design, or even in color blocking, taking out the colors that are within the color of your hair and using them in various pieces in the outfit that you have on. And of course, the eyes come into play as well.
Sure.
Everybody knows if you've got, warm amber brown eyes, and you wear something that has that amber tone to it, a beautiful piece of amber jewelry, it's not only pleasing to you. You look in the mirror and you say, oh, wow, that really does pick up the flecks in my eyes. I really like that piece.
Yes.
Somebody else is going to either pick up on it and comment on it, or they're going to note it, even though they may not make a comment on it. And it makes you more memorable.
Yes.
I think that's important to know, like on a job interview.
Yes.
If you do something that picks up your own coloring, something that's a little distinctive, rather than just the black every time, it may put you in the category of being, in a field of 20 people that are being interviewed. Oh yeah, that's the gal that had the pretty colors in her hair and those amber eyes and had the amber necklace on. There are things that get implanted in interviewers' minds, and you want to leave that kind of memory. Now, some people might say, well, isn't that kind of superficial? Well, maybe it is, but it is superficial. It's on the surface, but at the same time, it's the confidence level that it's giving you, which is far from superficial. And it's the memorability that you're leaving with the interviewer. So it's more than just fluff. There are reasons behind the usages of color, proper usage of color.
Absolutely. And I think that, when you do wear something that helps you stand out, that can create an impression and open up doors that you may not have been able to open. Exactly. But also what I've found is that when you wear your eye enhancer colors that make your eyes pop, it makes eye contact easier. And people feel more connected to you. And so if you're at a party or a job interview or on a first date and you want to feel more connected to somebody, because, when you see somebody, especially if they have blue eyes and they wear blue, you can't stop staring at their eyes. You're like, wow, that looks amazing. Yeah, exactly. And it just creates a sense of connection. So I think I found in a lot of ways, wearing your own signature colors creates this harmony and this authenticity. And I think it translates in ways that other people probably can't quantify, but they feel it.
Exactly.
They feel that.
Very well put.
Thank you. What one thing do you wish more women knew about color?
One thing that more women knew about color. I think it's the ability to build up the confidence in yourself and not necessarily always look for approval from others. And how do you do that? Well, you go to an expert like yourself, You read books, you educate yourself, and you are willing to experiment. You are willing to get out of that box and try some of the things that have been suggested by people who do know, who are educated in that area, people like yourself. To listen to that educated kind of comment, as opposed to someone who, maybe a little green monster is at work, or, or they're not, or, I have to say, doing research has made my life much easier online.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many urban legends that fly around online. Who is making those statements about color? And how true is it? How credible is it? How verifiable is it? Mm-hmm. And so I would say to most people who are seeking advice and help, I would say go with the experts, read the books, take the classes, the consultations, because these are the people that really have studied it, and you can depend on their credibility, as opposed to something you saw online that you don't know where it came from or who was responsible for making that statement about color.
Right, absolutely. Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about the color of 2023.
Yes, yes.
Now, I have to ask.
Talking about red.
Are you the one that gets to pick that?
Yes, yes.
Oh, how do you decide?
Yeah, well, I have a group of other experts at Pantone that I work with, but there are just so many variables that come into the choice of the color of the year. First of all, we look at the zeitgeist, what's going on in the world around us. What are people aspiring to? What are they looking for? How are they feeling about their lives, their aspirations? What are they seeking in the future? So that we are able then to pinpoint a particular color family that speaks to the overall essence of what's going on within the culture at a given time. That's first and foremost. Then we look at several other areas. Of course, we always look at fashion, because fashion designers are often the first to experiment with color. But we look well in advance. Obviously, we're not looking at what's out there today, but what our expectation is for the future. And because I do for Pantone, I do twice a year the fashion collections from London and from the US. And we choose the 10 or 12 top colors plus the 4 supporting colors, like the neutrals and so on. So we have access to information well before it's out there. We look at that. We look at museum collections, interest in the world of art. Is there a particular artist whose work is being shown around the world? Because that's creating a buzz and people are talking about it. Is there a color or color story that's attached to that artist that is going to get a lot of conversation going? We look at certainly the entertainment world, huge influence. Anything from animated children's films to films for adults, grown-ups, whether they're streamed online or they're seen, as you regularly see a movie, there are going to be films that are going to capture people's attention. And you go to the film, you look at the film, you see certain colors that are coming forward. You see other films that help to substantiate that color story. In my case, I happen to be a member of the American Film Institute, and I get a lot of information from that industry. So it's very important to me because I know that millions and millions of people worldwide watch those films, and even the children's films. If you have kids, you're going to sit down next to the child and you're going to look at those animated films. And the animators are amazing. They are artists in their own right. So we look there. We look to the world of technology, new concept cars. What kind of finish is going in that car? What colors are being used? Because that's in the future. That's not today. And all of that has to feed into where our choice comes from. So lots of different areas.
That's great. Well, I have to say I'm a huge fan of what's the name of the 2023 color? Magenta.
Viva Magenta.
Viva Magenta. I am a huge, huge fan. I'm a huge pink fan, but any shade of magenta, that's my color. I should be wearing that today, but.
Well, Viva Magenta is descended from the red family. So the name magenta we often attach to purples. But the thing about Viva Magenta is that, like the true red, it has an equal balance of warm and cool. So it gives it much greater versatility. And the whole idea of Viva means life, means vigor, it means vim. It's energy, it's dynamic. And that is one of the reasons why we chose that color, because people were telling us we've been in this kind of, you know, almost depressed, semi-depressed state for several years now. And we're anxious to get out there and resume our lives. And they are, you know, they're starting to do that. But this provides more energy to the future. And that's why we felt we needed a celebratory color, which Viva Magenta is.
I love that. And I love one thing I love about it, just seems like there's such a thoughtful approach. I'm always following the color trends, and it just seems like there's such a thoughtful approach. And it sounds like there absolutely is. You do your homework. Yes. But I love that there seems like such a balance, you know, from a fashion perspective, of warm and cool colors. So, yes.
Yeah, and that's important to note for the reasons that you've already mentioned, is to get that kind of balance in the red. And that helps to balance your lives at the same time. I mean, our lives are made up all the time of, you know, where do we go for balance in the food that we eat and you know, work, play, and, you know, we're always looking to balance. So if you find a color that has that balance in it, it helps to feed into what our needs are.
That's a great way to think about it. I had not thought about that. Well, Leatrice, is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
Well, I would just hope that it opens up some avenues of exploration for your viewers. And I appreciate your getting in touch. And of course, it's wonderful to find other color lovers. You know, we have our own tribe, don't we?
Absolutely. I think we're kind of cut from a different cloth.
Yes.
So, well, it has been a true joy to talk with you. I have followed you for years. And so when I reached out and you said that you booked your call, I was so excited. So I am just thrilled to share this information with my listeners. And how can they find you? How can we get in touch with you if they want to learn more about your books or your color clock system?
Yes. Well, they can go online to leatriceeiseman.com. And there is information on the training, on my books, on various aspects of those things that we've talked about. So that might be helpful to them.
Great. Well, I will be sure and put all of those links in the show notes. So make sure you go follow Leatrice, go listen, go read her books and listen to all her knowledge, because she has such great goodness. So thank you so much, Leatrice.
You're very welcome. Bye-bye.